we have seen that after the fall of the Umayyads, we have another dynasty. They were called the Abbasids. Abbasids were the descendant of Abba, that's your prophet's uncle. Abbasid portrayed Umayyad regime as evil and promised a restore of origin Islamic tradition. Abbasid uprising broke out in a distant region of Khorasan, that is your eastern Iran, a 20-day journey from Damascus on a fast horse, which had the mixed population of Arab and Iranian, and which could be mobilized for the various regions. Arab soldiers in Khorasan were mostly from Iran, and they did not like the domination of Syrian, that is your Umayyad Caliph. The civilian Arabs of Khorasan disliked Umayyad regime for having not promises uh, dislike Umayyad regime for having made promises for the tax concession and the privileges which were never fulfilled. So even the civilian Arabs of Khorasan did not like Umayyads because of the heavy tax and the privileges which they enjoyed. So there was a well organized movement which is known as Dawa, which brought Umayyad, and we have a new dynasty of family of Meccan origin which established Abbasid in 750, the new group of Caliph now. First, we talked about the Meccan Caliph. Then, second Caliph, we talked about the Umayyads. They were mainly from Syrian and they were not related from Meccan Caliph. And the third Caliph we talk about is your Abbasid Caliph. The group of Abbasid Caliphs, they are from Iran, and their army was led by the Iranian slave whose name was Abu Muslim. He defeated the last Umayyad Caliph whose name was Marwan in the Battle of Zeb. And after this battle in the year 750, we have seen Abbasid had established themselves as a new group of Caliph. Under the Abbasid, there was a lot of administrative changes. The first one is under Abbasid rule, Arab influence declined while the importance of Iranian culture increased. This is the first change. They changed the capital from Damascus, that were earlier in Syria. Now, like Syria, when Umayyads were there, the capital was Damascus, that's in Syria, because Umayyads were from Syria. Now they have changed to Baghdad because Abbasids are mainly from Iran. Mainly from Iraq. And the army and the bureaucracy were reorganized on the non-tribal basis to ensure greater participation of people of Iraq and Khorasan. So this is how we have seen the importance of Iraq is coming with the coming of Abbasids. Abbasid rulers strengthened the religious status and functions of caliphate and promised Islamic institution and scholars. And they maintained the magnificent imperial architecture and elaborate court ceremonies introduced by the Umayyads. So this thing they retain of Umayyads. So children, you can see the grand mosque in Samarra, that is in Iraq. It was built in 1850. The minar is 50-meter high and is made of bricks and inspired by the Mesopotamian architectural tradition. And this was the largest mosque in the world for many centuries. Now, after the fall of Abbasids, we see caliphates break away and there was a rise of sultanate. So why did caliphate break away? So the first is the Abbasid state became weaker from 9th century because of Baghdad's control over the distant provinces decline, because of conflict between pro-Arab and pro-Iranian fractions in army and bureaucracy. The first point for the breaking is the conflict between pro-Arabs and pro-Iranian fraction in the army and bureaucrats. Another is 810 civil war broke out between the supporters of Amin and Mamun. They were the son of Caliph Harun al-Rashid, which deepened the fractionalism and created new power block of Turkish slave officer. And next is we have seen a number of minor dynasty rose such as Tahirids and Samanids in Khorasan and Transaxonia, and Tulunids in Egypt and Syria. So children, first we say that pro-Arab and pro-Iranian conflict. Second is civil war which broke out in 810. Third point is number of the minor dynasty which came up after the fall of Abbasids. And Abbasid power was limited to central Iran, Iraq and western Iran. That too in the year 945 when the Buyids, they were the Sethi clan of Caspian, captured Baghdad. So Buyids came to power in Baghdad and Abbasid completely came to an end. Next we see the next group were called the Fatimids. Fatimids were the followers of Fatima, daughter of Prophet Muhammad, and they claim they are the rightful ruler of Islam as they were directly related to Prophet Muhammad. From their base in North Africa conquered Egypt in 969 and established Fatimids Caliphate. And they also changed the capital of Egypt from old capital, that is your Fusat, and they made a new capital to Cairo. So next reason is a third ethnic group was established to the Arab Iranian was the rise of the Turkish Sultanate in the 10th and 11th century. Turkish actually were the nomadic tribes of Central Asia who gradually converted to Islam, and they were skilled riders, warriors, and they entered the Abbasids, Samanids and Buyid administration as a slave. So initially Turkish entered as a slave and soldier, but because of their capabilities, because of their merit, they rose to the higher position. Because of their loyalty and because of their military abilities, they rose to the higher position. The Ghaznavid Sultanate established Alptizin and consolidated Muhammad of Ghazni. So there was a Ghaznavid Sultanate was founded in 961, and later it was consolidated by Muhammad of Ghazni. And Ghaznavid were a military dynasty with a professional army of Turks and Indians, but their center power was in Khorasan, Afghanistan, and for them Abbasid Caliph were not tribal but a source of legitimacy. So Muhammad was conscious, being the son of slaves and specially eager to receive the title from Caliph. So Caliph was willing to support Sunni Ghaznavid as a counter weight of Sethi power. So this is how we have seen that Muhammad was first given the title of Sultan. And another Turks we have is the Seljuk Turks, who entered Turan as a soldier in the army of the Samanids and the Karakhanids, and later they established themselves as a powerful group under the two brothers, that is your Tugril and Chegril Beg. And later we have seen under the Caliph Al Qaim conferred Tugril Beg the title of Sultan, which moved and separated religious from the political authority. So we see that this brought the end of Caliphate, and we have the new title that is called Sultan. So we have seen, and then from 11th to 13th century there was a series of conflict between the European Christians and the Arab. So here we are going to discuss about Crusade. So children, Crusade is the holy war of Christians against the Muslims. Now we see that Byzantine Empire was your Eastern Roman Empire, and according to the Christians, Jerusalem was supposed to be the Holy Land, which was conquered by the Arab in 638 AD. So this remained under the Arab rule for a long time, and it was only in the year 1092 when Malik Shah, the Seljuk Sultan of Baghdad, he died, and after his death the Arab Empire started disintegration, and this offered the Byzantine emperor, whose name was Alexius I, he got the chance to regain Asia Minor and northern Syria. And for this Pope Urban II, this was an opportunity to revive the spirit of Christianity. So in the year 1095, Pope joined Byzantine emperor in calling for a war in the name of God to liberate Holy Land of Jerusalem. So from this we see the crusade, that is your holy war to get back the place of Jerusalem, which was considered as Holy Land by the Christians. So from between 1095 to 1291, the European Christian planned and fought war against Muslims to get back the Holy Land of Jerusalem, which later came to known as Crusades. So the literal meaning of the crusade is Pope order the ceremonial granting of the cross to those who had thrown to fight. So now children, first crusade was in the year 1098 to 99, and soldiers for this crusades were from France and Italy, and this was started when France and Italy captured Antioch, that's in Syria, and claimed Jerusalem, which according to the Christian we said Jerusalem as a holy land. They wanted to get back their holy land from the Muslim control. Their victory was accompanied by the slaughter of Muslim and Jews in the city, chronicled by the Muslims and the Christians. So this attack of the Christians were referred by the Muslim writers as Frankish invasion. So first we have seen the first crusade, that was from 1098 to 99, and The soldiers from the France and Italy, they captured Antioch, excuse me, children, that's in Syria, and they claim Jerusalem, which was victorious. And second crusade started in 1144 when Turk captured Edessa. An appeal was made by the Pope for second crusade. In the second crusade, children, there was a combined force from German and French army. They combined the force and they captured Damascus. We already said, children, Damascus, that's your capital of Syria. And they defeated but they were defeated and forced to return. In the second crusade, we have the Muslim ruler whose name was Saladin. He created Egypto-Syrian Empire and gave a call for a jihad. Jihad is a holy war by the Muslims against the Christians. And he defeated the Christian force in the year 1187. And he regained Jerusalem from the Christians and for a century after the first crusade. The record says that the incident that Saladin's treatment for the Christians population was human, in marked contrast to the way in which Christians had earlier dealt with Muslims and Jews. So first crusade, children, we talked about the first crusade that was in the year 1098 to 99. That was for 1 year. And the Christian soldiers were France and Italy. They had captured Antioch, that's in Syria, and Jerusalem. They got the holy place of Jerusalem. The second crusade started when the Turks attacked Edessa in 1144. At this time, Pope asked for German and the French army, and French and German force together captured Damascus, but they were defeated by the force of Saladin. He was the ruler who had created Egypto-Syrian Empire, and he called for jihad. So jihad is the holy war against the Christians by the Muslims, and crusade is the holy war of Christians against the Muslims. And the loss of the city here means Jerusalem, children, we are talking about. The third crusade started in 1189, but the Crusaders gained little except for some coastal towns in Palestine and free access to Jerusalem as a Christian pilgrimage. The Mamluk ruler of Egypt finally drove crusading Christians from the Palestine in the year 1291. So gradually, the Europeans lost their military interest in Islam and focused on their internal political and cultural development. After the crusade, the relation between Christians and Muslims became harsh. So the two impact of the crusade. The first one is the bitter relation between Muslims and Christians. Second is the greater influence of Italian mercantile, that is a business community, in the trade between East and West even after the restoration of Muslim power. So first impact, children, we said that bitter relation between Christians and Muslim. Second is trade between East and West started growing fast. So this is what we studied today. Thank you so much, children.